Hey guys, morning. Happy 7th anniversary. All morning I've been singing, "It's our anniversary." I don't know who came up with that song or sang it, but I've been singing it all morning. It is our anniversary. And this is an incredible thing. All week, God's just been moving in my heart, reminding me of all that He's accomplished in the past 7 years. I'm gonna be our lead historian for the next 30 minutes. And what I want to do is I want to talk about the 7 key turning points in the 7 years of Mission Church. Some of you, you're going to remember some of these. There'll be some of these that you've never heard of before. God's chosen to increase the amount of people that are part of this family over the past few years. And so some of these you've never heard before. And I think it's important for you to understand where we came from, for you to hear about some of the key turning points. So here's what I think would be fun. It can be pretty lonely up here. I'm the only one up here. It's just me and Jesus, all right? But you can only see me. And so to not leave me up here alone, here's what I thought would be fun, all right? We're into fun, is when I share one of these key turning points, I'll share 7. I'm going to start with what's most recent, and then I'll descend down to the oldest one. When I share one of these turning points, and if you would say, yeah, you either remember that or you would agree that that has been a turning point in your life or at least in the life of this church, here's how I'd like you to respond, okay? You could say amen, preach it, come on, and you can do those. But what I'd like for you to do today is to say, Jesus. That's it. All right. Jesus, why? Here's why. We're not going to touch the glory. Not going to touch it. This is what, see, quick learner, Andrew Whittick. This, what you're experiencing, what we've been experiencing, this is what Jesus has been doing. This is the story that Jesus has been writing in and through and around us and among us for the past 7 years. So when I share a turning point, you'd say, yeah, that one. You just respond with, Jesus. There we go. You guys are great. So number 7 is the most recent. We call this Never the Same. Jesus. Emphasis on the us there. I like that. That was awesome. Never the same. From reveal nights to advanced commitment night to commitment Sunday, God said go, we said yes. I'll never forget Celebration Sunday. Just this past April 8th, 6 months ago, we invited the kids of our church to reveal the total commitment. You guys remember this? We had these huge, it was only 6 months ago. We had these huge things on here, big cards, poster boards, and they revealed, I'm not going to try to do that math, but just over $5.8 million. Since then, over 6 has come in commitments, and we're seeing those fulfillments starting to come in. I'll speak for my family, for me and Kelly and the girls. This is actually leaving our family never the same. The amount of things that I've walked past and looked at that I've wanted to buy, that I've said, Jesus. Never the same. Never the same. In 2 years, I'm going to come back to that store, right? It's been marking me. It's been forming us as a family. It's been affecting us. It's elevating the way that we're trusting Jesus. It has been, and it continues to be, a turning point in the story of our church. Just a few weeks ago, a lady in our church stopped me. She said, John, this is the first time ever in my life that I've been able to give to a church. She just says, because of things that happened in the past and a lot of different things, she's like, I've never been able to give to a church. She says, what God is doing through Never the Same, it is affecting me, it's forming me, it's shaping me. It is certainly a turning point. Number 6, here's how I would describe number 6. And you're probably going to need to wait on the Jesus part because it won't make sense yet for a few minutes. The way I'd say it is this: a different strategy, a different dependency. And so this goes back to the fall of 2016. We had just celebrated our 5th anniversary, and we began to reveal to you our new 3 values that we have had as a church, and that we declared that these are going to be our values that will form our strategy. We now call them our 3 Gs, but we didn't have these before this moment, before this season. Most of you know our 3 Gs. They are to gather and go. Yeah, but before then, no one knew them, right? Because we didn't even know them. They weren't written anywhere. But this is when we cemented saying that these are going to be our values that will lead to our strategy. And we're not just going to gather, no, we're going to gather differently. We want to be more than a box-checking church. We want, when you gather, for it to shape you, for it to affect your life. Not only that, we want you to grow intentionally. We want your growing to be aimed at going. We want the Great Commission to become great, so that means we got to adjust how we're helping people grow. I remember this season very, very clearly. In fact, I'll never forget it because for 2 years we hadn't grown by a single person. In fact, 100 people left our church during that time frame. I was expecting some more empathy there. It was hard. I remember walking these back hallways just saying, what am I doing wrong? Like, what did I say last week that caused like 20 people to leave? Like, what is going on? I mean, I'm not that bad. I'm like, what is happening? And what God was doing, what Jesus was authoring in that time was he was, through pain and through challenges, he's saying, I think we need a different strategy. I think we need a different strategy. So it was our 5th anniversary. We gathered up the partners of our church, and I took you back to where it all started at Stratford Middle School in the cafeteria. And they're the partners of our church. We gathered, and I shared with you about our 3 Gs. And I also talked to you about something brand new that we were going to get started called our growth track. I remember us talking together that night in the cafeteria that I am incredibly committed to helping you grow intentionally, that your growth spiritually would be aimed at you going missionally. And I said, here's what we're going to start. We're going to start this thing called a growth track, and here's what that means, and this is really difficult. Our small group ministry is coming to a close. Now, that was a huge decision. Months and months of prayers went into that decision. Why was it so big? Here's why. At that point in time, we had 30 small groups. We had 70% of our adults in small groups. I had been in one, was always leading one. This was a terrifying decision. I didn't know if this would work. In fact, our executive team, we thought this just might, in fact, end our church if we do this. But we believed that God was saying, you got to help your people grow in a more intentional way. Their growing needs to be aimed at going. And so we started and launched this thing called our growth track in the winter of 2017. And that's when we launched something called Alpha. Jesus. See, I told you, just wait for it. Right? Think about this. The amount of people, faces that just went right through my mind that I've seen God use Alpha to completely transform their life. Seeing them understand who Jesus is, seeing their questions that have haunted them get answered. Seeing them even to the point of going public with their faith through baptism. But that's the starting line. Now there's some of the most committed people leading the most significant things in our church. I mean, this coming week when we launch Alpha, one of the guys leading it is Steve Duckhorn. Steve, what's up, baby? He's in the same chair every single week. He's one of the co-leaders. And I remember, this isn't what I was planning to talk about, but it doesn't matter. I remember week 1 of Alpha, right when we started, Steve, you said, listen, to our whole group, here it is. I'm giving God the next 12 weeks, and if he doesn't come through, I'm done forever. Like, well, welcome to our group, Steve. And he said to our group, he's like, I sat in my car for 30 minutes. I didn't want to come in here, but I'm here. But I'm telling you guys, if God doesn't show up and answer some of these questions, I'm done. This week, he's co-leading Alpha. Who does that? Who writes stories like that? Not me. Jesus does. Jesus does. Incredible. And to prepare to launch Alpha, Alpha told us that it would be helpful if we would send some of our key staff to London, to Holy Trinity Brompton, to be trained up. And so we were talking about this as a staff, and Tommy and Dan Ruda, they just said, we just want to serve Jesus, and so you can send us to London. We will suffer for Jesus in London. I'm like, you guys are servants. This is amazing. You really give up your time like this. And so they went to London, and God surprised them there. God hijacked them in such incredible ways. He surprised them with his spirit in ways they did not anticipate. They get back from London, and Tommy said, John, I'd like to come in and meet with you. And so he walked in my office, and he said, what I want to share with you is not going to be easy for you to hear. And Tommy just erupted in weeping. Like, what did he do in London? He said, John, God has given me a picture since being in London. And he said, it's the picture of Atlas. He said, John, the way you've been leading, and the way I've been leading, and the way our staff has been leading is this picture. Putting the weight of the world and the weight of ministry on our backs, believing that it's going to be through our might and through our power that's going to make the difference. And Tommy just wailing and weeping, tears coming out of his eyes. He said, John, if you don't change, I can't stay here. He said, it starts with you. And then it comes to me, and then it comes to our staff. And he says, every time we do ministry like this, the Spirit vanishes. That's what he said. I'll never forget that phrase. And I had a choice, and I decided to look into the mirror, and I decided to own it. And he was right. 2 years of not growing just only led to more exhaustion and more frustration and me just doing more, putting the weight of the world on my back. But what happened in that moment is the Spirit broke in and we just said, listen, we're going to come back to the one key thing God said to us long before anyone was part of our church. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord Almighty. We framed it. It's in our office. Every single time a staff person looks at that, we're reminded of this turning point. That when we said we need a different strategy, but we got to have a different dependency. And that dependency cannot be on us. It has to be on the power of God's Spirit. Countless people since that moment have asked me, John, what changed? What changed? That's what changed. The Spirit of God has been unleashed in and among us, and it has been, without question, a turning point. Jesus. Amazing. Number 5, you're going to have to wait on this. You're not even going to know what this means. Self-preservation will not prevail. This was a turning point for us. We'd been in Lake Park West for just a few months in this building when we got the opportunity to take on what we call 2 leadership residents, a couple that said, we want to do what you guys have been doing. We want to be crazy and we want to plant a brand new church in a community that we love, and it's West Chicago. And so we took on, our staff at that point in time, Kevin and Aubrey Sampson. Some of you guys know them and love them. We have Aubrey come and preach here a couple times a year. She's just an anointed preacher. Kevin is such an anointed leader who loves his community in incredible ways. And so they were part of our team for a little while. And so we began to help them, mainly telling them what not to do, learning from our mistakes. And we said all this is going to build to a Sunday where we encourage people from Mission to leave our church to go help start their church. And we're going to actually give as much as we possibly can on that Sunday to the starting of your church. This is what we did. We declared death to church rivalry and competition. We said there is an enemy, but it is not other churches. We will be generous even when it hurts. We will not cave to fear and allow self-preservation to prevail. And we've yet to be in a place financially where we're just wondering what to do with all this money, right? I just don't know. What should we do with it all, right? We haven't been in that place. And so it's been very, very tempting to just focus on mission. But God has been saying, no, self-preservation will not prevail in my story that I'm writing in and among this church. And so what happened on that Sunday, some of us will never forget it. We had the launch team of Renewal Church up on this stage. And you guys, reached hands towards them. We prayed a prayer of blessing and commissioning. And then through a texting campaign, we played one song that was 4 minutes long. And I remember us saying, you have 4 minutes to make a financial donation to help them start. And in 4 minutes' time, we raised $90,000 and we gave it to the starting of Renewal Church. Jesus. A month and a half ago, we gave $20,000 to a brand new church in Hyde Park. And I think it's important for us to connect those two experiences. And here's what I know, it's going to be even more tempting in the coming months. We're not on budget. We haven't paid for what we're doing, not even close. And it is going to be so tempting for me and for us, for our leadership, and for us to just say, yeah, let's focus on mission. But God is saying, no, self-preservation is not part of my story. Number 4, mountain move. Mountain move. The first 3 years of the story that God's been writing took place in a beautiful little facility called Stratford Middle School. And some of us were part of it back then, and in 2014, we began to run out of space. I remember when the 222 parking spots were completely occupied. There was nowhere to park anybody. You couldn't park on the road there. And we began to see people pull in and pull out. And that broke our hearts. We just think of the amount of relational investment and people inviting friends, putting it on the line. Their friends finally come and there's nowhere to park and they bail, right? So we said, we got to do something. The leadership team of our church, John Frank, Justin Peacock, Tommy Bowman, and myself, the 4 of us, we form up the leadership team. We meet and met for hours and hours and hours trying to figure this out. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to pray. We're going to trust Jesus, who's been leading this thing since the beginning, to give us vision and understanding on what to do. After hours and hours of meetings and conversations, the decision kind of became very apparent where we believe God was saying you need to go next to Lake Park West High School. Now, here's the problem with that. Before any of you heard of Mission Church back in 2010, when me and Tommy were getting ready for this thing, we thought we would start here. Why? We both went here, right? People still, for the most part, really respected us. And we just thought this would be great. This is in our community. A lot of our original launch team were from here, right? We thought we would start here at Lake Park West. And so I began to talk to some of the leadership. They thought it was a great idea as well. They said the only thing that needs to happen, this is 2010, is it needs to go through a vote. The school board needs to vote on it. No problem. I know half the school board. They're gonna love us. And so I never will forget when I got the phone call from the school board president saying the vote went through. And it was a unanimous no. And I followed up with, clearly, I didn't share the vision well enough. Can we meet again next week? And so me and Justin, we met with the school board. We pleaded and begged them in 2010 to give us a chance. And they just said, this is not going to happen, guys. And we walked out of there discouraged, feeling very, very rejected. So fast forward 2014, our leadership says, John, I think you need to begin the conversation with Lake Park High School. And I said, no, I don't think I should. I think you guys should. I lost the bet, and so I had to begin the conversation. So I began a conversation. Barb Blair, if you're watching this, I love you. Thank you for having coffee with me. And we had coffee at Starbucks, and at the end of that meeting, you said, John, I don't think there's a chance, but I'll make one phone call. And you called Lynn Panagas, who's the superintendent of this school, a local hero. And Lynn said, you know what? I actually like this idea. Would you guys come in and talk to our team? I said, I'm free for the next 3 months. And so we came in, and we sat down, me and Tommy and John Frank, and we began to share our story. And they said, no, we know your story. For 3 years, you've been meeting all kinds of needs in this community. We're amazed by it. One person, I won't give their name, said, I actually watch you preach online when I'm struggling to fall asleep at night. I'm like, is that so I just kind of left it. I didn't know what he meant by that. And so we met with them, we talked with them. And they said, here's the deal, we actually like the idea, but as you know, it's going to come down to a vote. The school board has to vote on it. And I'll never forget in August, when we got the response back, John, the vote went through. It wasn't a unanimous no this time. John, it was a unanimous yes. Jesus. That's right. I want to personally thank the school board. If you're listening, watching online, thank you for giving us a chance. Lynn, thank you so much for seeing the vision. Thank you so much, Barb, for taking that coffee. Mr. Marino, thank you for being our advocate. And you're welcome for me helping you fall asleep at night while you watch my preaching. Some of you remember this. We had a series called Mountain Move right then. And we rounded up teams of people that would give their time to prayer walk around this building. Might have looked weird to some of our neighbors, but we've just kind of been this prayer walking church since the very beginning. I have a picture of Jason Amato, you're down here in the second row. He helped start this church, so this was normal for him. A bunch of kind of our key people there. And we just had a series of volunteers just saying, all right, I'm going to lead this, and they would just walk circles around this entire property, asking for God to move in and work his miracles in this very space. I want you to think about something. Of the 1,200 plus people or so that would say Mission is their home church, 800 of them never attended one service at the middle school. In fact, if you've been baptized in this very space over the last 4 years, I want you to stand to your feet. That's so good. You guys can have a seat. God moved a mountain. And more mountains are coming, and that's why we're going to speak to him. We're not going to try to move them with our might. We're going to speak to him through intercessory prayer. We're going to ask him to do what only he can do. More mountains are coming, and I just think it's so important for us to remember that mountain. That was a seemingly immovable mountain that was moved through the power of Jesus. Number 3, this turning point happened in 2013 in the spring that we call For the 10. And For the 10 does a lot of things. Some of you will recognize some of these things. Project Just Start. No Jesus there? Okay. Holiday gift. We're still doing that. The Holiday Gift Mart. Some of you have heard of that, right? And it was in the spring of 2013. Project Just Start had continued to grow. Holiday Gift Mart went to 2 locations, Addison and Hanover Park. And then there was a writing in the Daily Herald. Some of you have heard of a newspaper before. For our college students, there's this, I won't get into it, but there's this thing called a newspaper. And so I remember in the Daily Herald a headline from the mayor of Roselle talking about how for the 3rd year straight, she was having to cancel the Roselle fireworks. And as a leadership team, we said, what does it mean if we say we're for the 10 and we're reading this? What does it mean? Does it mean anything? And we talked and we prayed, and here's what we discerned. We discerned that it meant something. And I reached out to the mayor at the time, and I said, would you have a meeting with me? And she said, I'd love to. And so I sat down, I'll never forget this, in her huge conference room, this big old table, and me and God, I'm just like, this is me. I'm getting to talk to the mayor. Like, God, this is just fun, right? And so I'm talking to the mayor, and I'm hearing like the angst and the disappointment and all this stuff. And I said, listen, we are a church that is for the 10. And of course, she didn't know what the 10 was, like most people. So I explained it to her. I said, just in one kind of statement, we love where we live. And we love this community. And this article is something we're not okay with. And instead of me bringing you more problems that most people do, I want to bring you a solution. Our church, there's only a few hundred of us. Our church wants to personally underwrite the entire fireworks show. But, before you say Jesus, we want to make it even better than what it was, as I was growing up. We want to provide a free concert. We want our community to be proud of it. We just think this would be one of the most amazing things. And her jaw almost dropped on the table. Right? And I just want to tell you, that year, the first year was $60,000. We didn't have it. I didn't know how we were going to get it, but we said we're for the 10. And God showed up. Somehow we found the money, and we were able to give it away, and we lit up that money in the name of Jesus, and it filled the sky. That is irresponsible of your funds. No, it's not. No, it's not. Not when you're for the 10. You do stupid stuff like that. You just irresponsibly get thousands and thousands and thousands of people together in your community and say, we love you guys. And here's the catch. There isn't one. No strings attached. You don't have to come to mission. We haven't grown because of this, but it's been us as a church saying we're for the 10. That year, I think 3,000 people came. This past year, the police chief estimated 10,000 people in this community coming to this thing. It's amazing. And I just think it's important for us to remember that season. Something I want you to know. Here's some stats. To date, this church has given some 21,000 Christmas toys to close to 4,000 families through the holiday gift market. Think about this. You have filled, through the power of God's Spirit, and deployed 14,000 backpacks to 14,000 kids. And let's brag on God for a second. This Thursday at our annual golf outing, we raised right at $90,000 that we're giving away back into our turning point. Number 2, we are not done. October 7th, 2012 was our 1-year anniversary. I don't know if any of you remember that. We went to, you guys remember this. Remember, we went from 1 service to 2 services. It was a major undertaking. I didn't know if it was going to work, but it worked. We had our 1-year celebration. It was amazing. Like, we made it 1 year. It was so cool. We were at the elementary school, Stratford, and it was great. We had so many volunteers just say, I'm in. We want to help this church expand and go to 2 services. Our volunteers loved me back then for doing this for them, so they could actually attend our weekend services. We were portable 100%. And so here's what that meant. We had a whole team back then called our truckers. Raise your hand if you're on that team. I know there's a few of you in there. If you were a trucker, yeah? See some of you guys. It's awesome. It's awesome. It wasn't awesome back then for them, but it's awesome now to reflect back on. And they would get up at 5 in the morning and they would truck all of our gear to Stratford Middle School. We had 3 trailers at the time. Our entire stuff, all of our stuff fit inside 3 trailers. And on our 1 year, we thought it'd be great to try to make life easier for our truckers. So we went down to 2 trailers because we bought a brand new 32-foot trailer. And this was like real nice, all right? We had to go to Indiana for it. Nice. A 32-foot trailer, okay? And we were able to put all of our production equipment and everything in this 32-footer, and this was amazing. So imagine on our 1-year anniversary, we're celebrating a trailer, and we're celebrating turning 1, and now we got 2 services, and God is at work in this church, and lives are being changed. This is amazing, right? And 7 days later, on October 14th at 5 a.m., I get a phone call from Tommy Bowman saying, John, the new trailer is gone. I'm like, well, where's it gone to? He said, someone stole it. Someone stole it. I'm like, there's no way. That can't, no. He said, John, I'm telling you, it's gone. Our truckers have been out there for now 45 minutes. It's gone. The police is involved. It's gone. I'm saying, you're telling me our brand new 30, we've had it for, it's gone? It's gone. And everything in it, it's gone. He said, but we're going to figure it out. You just keep finishing your sermon there in your nice little office. Me and the guys will figure this out. And that day was a Sunday experience that some of us will never forget. We didn't have anything. We strung some Christmas lights together. I don't even know if we had sound that day. We had gym mats laid out on the floor. And I was so passionate about the sermon I was giving that day. And I remember getting to the gospel part. I mean, I just felt this holy burden. And the kids were in there because we couldn't. And in that, I'm like bringing the heat. In that moment, my nephew was little at the time. He started to do somersaults on the gym mats. I'll never forget that. So, Brack, if you're listening, dude, you just, not cool at all in that moment. But here's what happened, the turning point. It would have been easy to retreat. We said, no, through the power of God's Spirit, we're going to advance. We're not done. The vision wasn't to make it to 1 year. And we just said, since the beginning, the vision isn't contingent upon a building, and we're about to get one, but that's not the point. That's a means. It's a tool to be used. We said we will meet in an open field if we have to, and I believe we would. We declared together, we are not done. That's why if you're a volunteer, every single Sunday in that circle, we say it again to remind us of a key turning point in the history of our church. Number one, no sidelines allowed. Maybe a few of you will be able to say amen to this one. This one took place in August of 2011 in the cafeteria of Stratford Middle School. We were getting ready to start the church. Man, we'd never done this before. We're preparing for a bunch of people to come. We had 4 teams that you could join. And I remember us investing big dollars back then into poster boards and easels. I'm like, what's the return policy on these easels? And so we had 4 easels set up with these poster boards, and there was a card, like business card size, remember this, pushed into every poster board representing a volunteer role that needed to be filled. Now, there was 60 adults on the launch team at that point in the cafeteria, and I remember vividly, I said, if you add up all these volunteer roles, you're going to find that we need 150 volunteer roles to be filled. And in that moment, I look over, and John Frank, who's really good at math, did like this look, like, you know? And I'm not very good at math, but I know enough to know that like everyone needed to be on at least one team. And what happened in the next few moments is something that affected the trajectory of our church. Everyone joined one. Every single person joined a team. Every single person said, I'm in. Every single person said, no sidelines. Every single person said, yeah, it's good to watch it, but there's nothing like being on the field. No sidelines allowed. We had no idea in August of 2011 in that cafeteria what those decisions would do. Those decisions affected the next 7 years of ministry. It changed the trajectory of our church. It's been said before, I want to say it again. You're sitting in someone else's sacrifice. We've not drifted to where we are today. Like, this isn't accidental, people going through the motions, people kind of caring. What I've seen in you over the past 7 years is an army of volunteers who with passion and persistence, at times perspiration, I've seen, saying, it matters. Man, it matters. And I'm not going to just watch the story that God is writing from the grandstand. I'm going to get on the field. It matters. And what I've seen God do through that is write stories of transformation. We have a story today that I want us to watch. It's a story of Salome, and I think in many ways it captures the spirit of what took place all the way back in 2011. Let's go ahead and watch this right now.
Hi, my name is Salome, and I'm gathering differently through volunteering. Mission's always talking about volunteering, and one Sunday I was sitting there, and I usually sit in the back, and I noticed that only one of the cameras was being manned, and it kind of just clicked, like, that's obviously is a need, and that's where you can be. And I felt really connected to it because my dad passed away 2 years ago now, and it has just been a really hard time for me, and this has been one of the first times I've been able to think about him and feel feel good and feel like I'm making him proud and that I'm more connected to him. Because growing up, his passion was photography and broadcasting, and I always remember him being behind a camera. I've heard people talk about production before, and I was like, I know nothing about production. I don't think I could really contribute very much to it. But when I saw an empty camera there, I just got to a point where I was like, okay, yes, you are busy, but you're always going to be busy. I think in my mind, I think, okay, when I just get to this point, I'll have more time and I'll do this. Like when summer hits, I'm gonna have a ton of time. But of course, summer came, and it took me still 2 months into summer before I finally responded to an email that I had gotten wanting to volunteer. And it just got to a point where like, it's now. Like, I don't want to say now or never, but now, like, what am I waiting for? Getting Missions Response email back being like, oh my gosh, like, we've been praying for someone. It kind of was like, whoa, like, I was not expecting that. I was thinking they would be like, you know what, we really need someone who's like trained. It's just one big thing that I learned from this is that God knows what he's doing. Like, he will meet you wherever you're at, and he'll use you in whatever way he can if you're willing. Whether you see that coming or not, I wasn't expecting him to use that as a way to help me feel more connected to my father who has passed. I wasn't expecting him to use that as a way to make me feel more connected to God. And, even a few months ago, I wouldn't expect me to be fully committed to this team and me fitting in and me being good at it. Like, who knew I'd be good at it? I just get so excited and so happy when I feel like I'm contributing to people experiencing God in whatever way. I mean, I know they don't know I'm back there, and that's okay. I don't need them to, but just thinking, like, as I'm switching from one camera to the other, and like I could hear people like just praising God, or I see someone's hand and like the camera, I just am like, whoa, like this is something I get to be a part of. I think there's a big difference being on this side of it because it's something that I'm a part of, not just it's not like I'm just like taking and receiving whatever's being given at Mission. I'm giving back, and I'm a part of it. And I feel like, especially right now, this season of Mission, like so many awesome things are happening, and you can just feel God's like presence and hand in everything. And it just, to be a part of it and to feel like I'm a part of God's mission here at Mission, it's just, it gives me like the chills. It just makes me so excited to be a part of it, and I would hate to miss out on something like that. So I definitely feel, whereas like before, yeah, Mission felt like home. Like now it really feels like my home.
So good. I want that for every single one of you. As you're volunteering, as you join a team, you'll feel a connection, maybe with your biological father, but certainly with your spiritual father. As you're volunteering, as you're on teams, using gifts that maybe you didn't know you had, you would feel closer and closer to God, that in fact it'd be a catalyst to help you find and follow Jesus. I want this for every single person in our church. I'm not coming off the gas on that one. And so here's what we're going to do. I think you're going to love it. Is on October 22nd and 26th, that's a Monday and Friday night, we're hosting something we're calling Everyone Join One Experience. So many of you have been saying to us, we want to see the building. And we've been saying to you, we want you to see the building. Thankfully, Tommy was able to get an occupancy permit for these 2 nights, which is awesome. And I just think it would be one of the most incredible things for you to come and see this future home of Mission Church. It isn't finished yet. You're going to see where it's at and the status of it. You're going to get to go on a tour and see and understand the different teams that make up all the teams of Mission Church. And that night, I'm going to encourage you and hopefully inspire you in our brand new auditorium that isn't finished yet to join the team. Everyone, join one. Now, why would I get fired up about that? Well, because I think of a turning point. In August, in 2011, 60 ordinary people that said, God, you can count on me. No sidelines allowed. We want to join you, Jesus, in the writing of this story. We don't want to just watch it. We want to be part of it. Everyone, join one. And so you can RSVP through the Mission Church app or through our website, wearemission.com. In fact, I need you to RSVP. This is what Tommy tells me because of the permit that we were given by the wonderful village of Bloomingdale. You have to RSVP for this to work. If your children are under the age of 12, please leave them at home with a trusted babysitter. They can't come, not just yet. It's not safe for them. I want you there, October 22nd. It's just going to be an incredible experience, October 26th. Pick one of those nights. I hope they work for your schedule. Everyone, join one. Now, if you guys will, I want you to stand to your feet. We're going to finish by declaring a song that's been an anthem in our church for a long time. There'll be some pictures scrolling on the screen that take us down memory lane a little bit. And I hope as you guys leave today, before you go out to, I'm pretty sure the pony rides are still in play, and the petting zoo and the ice cream, hopefully for sure the ice cream is still in play. Before you guys go out there, Tommy, come here. We were saying this on Thursday. It is the joy of our life to serve you. It is the joy of our life to get to pastor and lead you with the help of a whole bunch of other people. And from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for being so leadable. You're the most leadable group of people we've ever come across. Thank you for trusting God. Thank you for praying. Thank you for loving our families. Thank you for loving our kids and letting them be normal. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you. What a joy it's been these 7 years, and our prayer and our hope is that the next 7 are just as exciting as the first. We want to write this story along with you and Jesus. God, thank you for this story that you've been writing. God, we've wanted to make this day shine a spotlight on you, Jesus. This isn't because of great leadership. This isn't because of all the things. First and foremost, it's because of our great God that has decided, we don't know why exactly, but has decided to do something truly special in this community. And so, Jesus, we make much of you. We shine a spotlight on the name of Jesus. We give you every ounce of credit. We're not going to touch the glory. And God, I ask that these turning points would be so significant that we'd continue to go back to them and we remember them and we remember them. We'd see how you were at work, even when we couldn't see it, in and through and around those key turning points. And God, I'm asking for this next chapter that is unfolding. God, may this new launch team be even more unified than that first launch team. That is an only God crazy kind of prayer that only you can accomplish. But God, you have a knack of moving mountains. And so God, in advance, we thank you for what you're gonna do. As we join teams, as we get ready for the launch of this new building, in advance, we thank you for what you're gonna do. We ask this in the matchless name of Jesus, and everyone agreed and said, Amen.
good. Come on back for the beginning of year 8. It starts next week. Come forward if you want to receive prayer. We are Mission. Love you guys.